So this week I'm looking at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I don't know anything about this person. So I'm just going to say what the palms are telling me. Now, like most of these kind of celebrity palm readings, I really can't be all that accurate in terms of what might happen and when. Although I am going to point out a few things which I didn't think I'd be able to say. So firstly, Jada is an air hand. I mean, it's only just a rectangle, but it's kind of debatable because it's just very square-ish. It's actually quite wide, and the fingers are certainly long. So this is someone who is um, constantly moving in their thoughts. They're an ideas person, and they're analytical. They like debate. They like deep discussion, and they like assessing the facts before making decisions. And this is certainly a cautious person, and that's denoted by the. It's quite a strong tie to the life on the headline, and it shows that she was independent at around the age of 23. So there's quite she's got quite a cautious nature. She thinks before she acts, certainly. And also the strong angle of proficiency, or otherwise known as the angle of time, uh, is often seen on people who are in who get a good sense. There's a good sense of routine about them. You see it in military people, and you see it with people who are very gifted with their hands physically, very talented with skills, an angle of proficiency. That's what it's known as. And you often see it with anyone from dressmakers, shoemakers, hat makers, plumbers, tradespeople. You see it with carpenters, and that sort of thing. But you also see it with people who love a good routine, and have a good sense of rhythm, good sense of timing. And then you also have quite a good angle of pitch as well. So the two together often go hand in hand, so to speak, with people who are gifted singer-songwriters. You often find that. And the headline itself it's a nice arc. It's a good curve for someone involved in a creative industry. The overall squareness and the angles of the hard kind of features of this palm, they really show someone who's very rational, very logical, very reliable, down to earth. This is someone who is kind of a no-nonsense person, really, but at the same time, there is still room for. She's highly open-minded as well, and that's seen by the large space between the heart and the headline, but also the fingers. There are spaces between them, and they're not too thick, they're not too chunky. So there is still a room there for. She's still an open-minded person. She's no nonsense, but she will be open to possibilities. Now, the fingers themselves are like the hands, in that they're quite sort of squarish. They're all sort of flattened off. And again, with the exception of Apollo's a bit spatulate, but the rest are square. And the bridge between Venus and Lunar, Pluto, forgive me. The bridge here, Neptune, is strong. So this person's ability to captivate and have these conversations and keep people engaged, and get her message across, who she is, she's able to get this message across to others. And that's what this it's important to have this bridging of this gap, this Neptune here, when you're working in the limelight, when you're a public figure, and your reputation matters. And that's partly why we've got a spatulate Apollo here. It's because these things matter. Reputation matters, glory matters. And the placing of the thumb is interesting to me, because although it's low set, the angle there suggests a kind of, again, I have said that she's open-minded to the facts, but I doubt that she would be open to any validity in palmistry. And one of the first things I really noticed here is that and I can appreciate there's a blurry picture, but there's this line of milieu, or an I don't know how else to describe it, of an environmental line, I suppose, and a line of resistance coming from the environment. Essentially, this is a spell of bad luck for this person in their early life, and I think throughout their teens. Let's have a look at the only other image I've got. So here we are, I've scoured the internet for another image, and like all images from the internet, it's not very clear. Without clarity, I can't provide clarity, and so I don't really like these Sunday case studies in that way. It's not all that accurate. I can provide answers and conclusions around a person's character and perhaps other things going on, but not much specifically around exact times in a person's life. So here we have what I was talking about, this line of milieu, a line of resistance coming from the environment, which often runs alongside a person's life, and it essentially it's bad luck. But then it could be seen that this is in fact a fate line, and it's difficult to know. Looks to me like it's attached, like it is just the fate line. But it's tough for me to know this. So I'm undecided about that one. There is what appears to be an allergy line, or a toxicity line, a poison line, a drug addiction line, all the same thing, but they all have slightly different meanings, confusingly. So often you see an allergy line with someone who has adverse reactions to pharmaceuticals. Often you see it in the hands of vegans who detest any kind of processed foods, and it just sort of shows that we're looking at the left hand. Yeah, so it could just be this person's thoughts and feelings about certain foods, or it could be that this person once had some sort of addiction, but now that's gone. There's still the kind of remnants of one there. So I'm not all that concerned for this person in that sense. It's just, this is, I think, more or less who she is as a person. She's very conscious, very food conscious, and understands her body quite well. There are two periods throughout this person's life of extreme difficulty, and this first one here, I mean, I'm highly impressed by this person's headline. It comes from Jupiter, streams downwards, a little bit too low. This person certainly has a tendency to become depressed, and that's also evident by the long Saturn finger. When compared with the other fingers, it's kind of on the longish side. You can't see it so much in this image, but there was a period of extreme depression for this person right up to the age of about 27-ish. And then at 35, we have everything changes for this person. The career line, it changes course quite drastically, and we see efforts made from the life at this time as well. Complete turnaround for this person's life. So at age of late, I'm going to say early 30s, this person's life completely changed, and then changed again at 35. And after 35, we've got another spell of depression here, I believe. And it's interesting for me to see such a successful person without a success line. And you could argue that, well, actually, her success line veers towards Jupiter. And perhaps it does. But if that's the case, Jada does not have a sun line. She doesn't have happiness in her life. And as I've already said, she's had two spells of depression in her life. She has a predisposition to depression, to getting depression. A person with a long Saturn finger is quite a melancholic person, but that's because they're very aware. They're very aware, highly thoughtful. This person has a long thumb. Just look how far it rises. And there's a great deal of willpower here, probably bottles things up a bit too much, and that adds to this uh, predisposition towards depression. The headline droops a little bit too low into lunar, this place of dark thoughts. The marriage line or relationship line is drooping down towards the heart, and it shows that at the time of this picture was taken, marriage brings her down. It's drooping towards the heart line. It's dragging her down into the place of emotions, and so that's what this is showing. And that being that there's no sun line, a success line or Apollo line, it shows that it's not a sun line. For a lot of people, they think about it too black and white in terms of achievements and success and money, wealth, fame, prestige. It's not just that, it's also happiness. Apollo is the place of the sunshine in our life, and that's why it's known as the sun line. It's what makes us shine, but it's also what makes us happy. And when we're seeing a lacking of that, and when we're seeing this as well, it shows that she's not a happy person. Money-wise, that's fine. Look, we've got an inheritance line right here. And so I don't think the person is without, and especially as you see these two, I mean, as I've said, you could interpret that as a success line that's veering towards Jupiter. But what we're certainly seeing are destinies intertwined, and I think this is two fate lines. And when we're seeing one of them heading towards Jupiter, this place of rising higher, judgment, authority, ambition, ego, and leading others. This is a leadership role that comes from working with others. Originally it comes from lunar. We've got essentially a fate line here that has a bit of an S-bend in it. And it's interesting for me because this period, around the period of 35 in their life, was a massive turning point and changed their perspective utterly as to what they want to do with their lives and how they want to do it. So we've got here two fate lines is essentially an excellent sign, because it shows that this person has ideas and thoughts and feelings and a project, and also a financial, a revenue stream that steers towards Apollo, this place of reputation and working alongside others, talents, skills, and glory, aesthetics and vanity. So it's often a career that's tailored towards working in the limelight in some way, just as her career began, it seems. So it's as though she's started in one place, working in front of others, and now she wants to end up working in front of others still, but in a different way. She wants to steer how other people go about their life. She wants to be in a place of authority and guide others, steer others, lead by example, and that's apparently what she's doing. There's a little bit of over caution around this person. The life and the headline are tied for just a bit too long, and also there's a lack of independence here. No, this is independence. Forgive me, she's very independent, but there's a lack of how can I put this? While she's incredibly logical and practical, pragmatic, there's a lack of logical thinking at the same time, scientific thinking. So it's as though she learns very well from her experiences. She's not so able to think ahead somehow and take the plunge. She's a little bit too overcautious and probably misses opportunities. And I think for this person, in order for them to be happy, they need to throw themselves into scenarios where they are uncomfortable, put themselves outside of their comfort zone, learn new experiences that they probably shy away from, get out there, explore the world, travel, maybe do it on a budget, and just really take herself outside of the norm. And these experiences will provide perspective and wisdom and follow on to provide this person with the tools to become happy, because this is really Jada's problem in life is an inability to become and remain happy. There's a great sense of independence here, and there's really only one good friend in her life, it seems, at the time that this was taken. And you can see on the left hand how vastly the fate lines differ. And it shows that really she's made something of herself. She really has carved, quite literally, a name for herself. She's highly self-critical. Really, there's not a lot of self-confidence and not a lot of self-belief. It's as though she knows and feels that she can achieve things, but doesn't have self-belief. And continuously, every achievement she makes, moves the goalpost that little bit further, again making happiness an impossibility. And this is the classic inferiority complex. Mercury is seen very distant from the rest of the fingers in all of the images. Here we see again Mercury very far away, and again Mercury still quite far away. For an air hand, I mean, there is a bit of earth going on here, but I would say mostly an air hand. The fingers aren't all that far apart, and again, that's this kind of caution. And like I say, I do think that this person would highly benefit from getting out there, putting herself outside of her comfort zone, and gaining experiences. She is a highly intelligent person, probably good with maths, as seen by the knots, the strong knot there in the second knuckle of Saturn. Her heart line is a little bit too idealistic, and this shows that she expects probably a bit too much from herself, and this is partly why she's just unable to be happy, and that's her main struggle. But also, this idealism is high expectancy in others. When we expect a lot from ourselves, we expect it from others. So, and this spells a little bit of disaster for relationships, because it means that there's too much idealism, and when we expect too much from others, we're doomed to fail. But what I do see is a huge amount of ambition and willpower, and as I say, probably a bit of a temper here. And I wonder how this temper comes out, this explosive anger issues. Probably, I wouldn't say impatience, but there is a tendency to bottle things up and explode. And sometimes people with this, they don't get necessarily angry with others, they take it out on themselves. And I believe that this is what this person does, and this is why we have a tendency for depression here. We have this person has on and off depression throughout her life. There's been two big spells, and I don't think she's due another one again. I think that's it now. But after the age of about sort of 68, something like that, health begins to deteriorate for this person. That's not to say that her time will be any time around then. It's just to say that she'll need to look after herself around that time. So I think that's where I'm going to stop here, because, as I say, I can't provide clarity without clarity in images, and I think I've said not a bad amount, really, considering. So let me know your thoughts, and yeah, I'll see you next Sunday. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.